Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on? I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am S. Foster.
That's right. You tune into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, my guy?
Shit, man, just trying to maintain, man. Coming back from a week off, a well needed week off, and
Yeah.
but I was able to, what I'm saying, ramble some thoughts off. What I'm saying, had to drop episode of the 28th.
The history of horror, man.
Yeah, so I had to do a part two. What I'm saying? I did one I think it was like episode like 60 or 61 or some shit like that.
Okay.
So it was a few topics that I wanted to cover. So I was just like, man, you know what? I'm gonna add this in this category of
Nice.
keeping something going. So yeah, put out an episode there, but other than that, man, just been shit, busting my ass at work, man. Just you know, you know what? I ain't even gonna mention that because I'm trying to keep this a happy pod, man.
Absolutely.
I ain't even gonna mention what I was about to say. But man, how you feeling? And look, man, glad to see you back on the screen, man. You know what I'm saying? Didn't feel right. We missed a week, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
man. Glad to see you too, bro. Just man, dealing with some silly shit. You know what I'm saying? That some silly personal shit, man. But um, still staying strong about it, man. Ain't no letdowns or none of that. Like you, man, just working like crazy. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get this money together and keep shit going and you know what I'm saying? Still pushing, man. Happy to be back podding though. Definitely happy to be back podding, man.
Yes, sir, man. Listen, I had like I know we told y'all we was gonna do the with the Devil's Road, on Ed and Lorraine, but this month is closing, and I'm
Mhm.
I'm glad you said what you said because this movie we doing today
Yeah.
might we done a lot of movies.
Mhm.
This might be one of the most slept on that we've done, in my opinion,
Absolutely.
because I don't think anybody really know or heard of this movie.
And you know what? You right because the first time I ever seen it, I seen it because my mom was watching it on Amazon Prime.
Like the reason I think how I even found this movie, I just remember trying to find something to watch. I was skimming through some shit. You know
Mhm.
how it be when you trying to find something, and I saw that J.J. Abrams did this movie,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay. I was like, J.J. Abrams coming off a couple of bangers with the Star Trek movies and stuff.
Right.
So I was like, all right, he a good director. Let me check this out, and that shit ended up being fire. And I was like, wow. I was like, I never heard of this movie. I never seen a trailer of this movie or nothing. It's like this movie just kind of just came out straight to streaming, and it like just kind of went under the radar. And I thought it
Mhm.
was good the first time I saw it. And dude, watching it again, yo, this movie fire as hell. It might be the most slept on movie we've done.
Possibly. Possibly. Um so for anybody that don't know, if you haven't read the title or paid attention, or this just happened to pop up due to your algorithms, we are covering the movie Overlord. Um It was released in 2018, rated R, and this movie is basically about a small group of soldiers who, in the middle of not toward the end of World War II, are pretty much going behind enemy lines on a mission, um, and they end up finding out that there's some things going on that are quote unquote out of this world. Um, a whole bunch of different science and all this other type of stuff. So basically, what I tell people about this movie, because um I had brought this up to some people that I know and I was telling them they should watch it and they was like what is it about? And the easiest way I can describe this is like if they took the Call of Duty zombies and made a movie, this would be exactly what they would come up with. Um,
I got a different description.
what's up? Let me hear it. What you
I
got?
I would say, okay, right.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how well I know you know, but just for the audience and everything, how
Mm-hmm.
they did the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter movie,
Absolutely, yeah.
right? So like this movie is similar in that sense where you take a true event that happened
Mm-hmm.
in the world and you throw just a little twist to it. And it was just kind of like you take a real thing in World War II and say that Hitler was experiment on the French people and turning these motherfuckers into whatever the CERN was turning them into. Like it's like one of the wildest things, but it's like, but when you think about it, it's like, yo, is that shit really that far fetched? You know what I mean?
Actually, I'm glad you asked that question because truthfully, it's not far fetched, and that's why I said if you. That's why I brought up the Call of Duty Zombies thing. But
Hmm.
historically, if you ever do your research on World War II and science and drugs and experiments and stuff like that, there's this. It's not really a rumor, is that because it's actually true. But the reason that methamphetamines are a thing, is because that's what they would give to German soldiers. And
Hmm.
that's why Germany was able to take shit over the way that they invaded and took everything over, was because they were giving their soldiers meth. So, like at 3 o'clock in the morning, you might see a whole goddamn squadron of Nazi soldiers out there. You know what I'm saying? Just
High as hell.
marching along, moving to the beat because these motherfuckers ain't got to sleep, no, none of that. So like if you ever get a chance to see like older pictures of German and Nazi soldiers, like when they got them, you know what I'm saying, like when they bringing them in or stuff like that, you'll see like they teeth worn down. You'll see like they look real skinny and frail and stuff like that because they was on meth the whole time. Well, most of the time they was on meth and that was keeping them up and getting them, you know what I'm saying? Like, so say it would take 2 or 3 days to cover a certain mission, they was getting that shit done in a day and a half
Yeah.
on meth. So yeah, the shit was crazy. Like they was putting this shit in like chocolate, they was putting this shit in candy. It was a whole bunch of different ways that they was giving them this shit because they can't really just like give it straight to them because it ain't gonna be the same. But
Yeah.
they were finding a way to put it in doses that was beneficial, you know what I'm saying, to be able to constantly give them. What they ended up finding out was the whole addiction part of it. So they didn't really know, the back end of it or what could possibly happen. But yeah, like a lot of the Nazi soldiers were meth heads.
Yo, that's crazy.
So
That's
I mean,
wild.
this is pretty much like historically accurate altogether.
Yeah, man. And then like, and one of the things that I was thinking about, and it isn't like the opening scene,
Right.
but it's like within like the first like 10 minutes, it's like this is one of the most wildest introductions to a movie that you would see
Yeah.
because, like I say, the realness in it.
Hmm.
Um, they're on the plane and they're getting ready to fly behind enemy lines and shit. So like you got your regular chit chat, you know, just really introducing you into the movie. And then it's like soon as like this cloud go away and they actually enter into Germany and then you see planes starting to blow up.
Hmm.
You seeing the bullets coming through the floors and it's like thinking about like this part of the movie could be all facts.
Yeah.
Like we don't think about like when these soldiers are traveling to the location that they're going to, that what I'm saying, whatever company, not company, but whatever country we're fighting, know that
Hmm.
we're coming.
Right.
It's very possible like that shit could have actually really fucking happened.
Hmm.
And to think like how scary that fucking shit would be to where you just that vulnerable in a plane and there's nothing that you could do. and then the only solution is to throw your ass out where you're catching fire,
Yeah.
and then your plane catches on fire, and then your only option is to jump out, and then you got dudes who their parachutes got stuck in trees, and then the German just killed them up in the air, and
And you know what's crazy about that too? Like you can't even really open your parachute either.
yeah, because they can shoot your
You-
parachute down.
Yeah, because you ain't nothing but a target at that point. So you gotta kind of hope like you falling over water at this point. Because not only are you flying over this place, and you're getting shot at, but it's dark. So you don't really, you know what I'm saying? Like your landing spot ain't necessarily what you think it may be. You know what I'm saying? Like and like you said, some dudes is landing in trees, getting caught up and tangled up, getting killed. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you know what I'm saying, you ain't free falling into the ground. Hopefully it's over some sort of deep enough, you know what I'm saying, part of water where you could just kind of, you know what I'm saying, ease in. And that's a wild situation to be in for sure.
And I love the camera shot.
Yeah,
Like when he was like flipping, like the camera was flipping
yeah,
with him, and like he was going through the air, and like the camera like stayed on his face the whole time.
that was
And then
dope.
he let his parachute out. Then he fell into the water. Then it showed him under the water cutting the parachute, and it was just like it's like first of all, you know, I always show appreciation to people who would do things that I'm not willing to do.
Right,
That was one thing I never was going to do was enlist into
right,
the army. Now,
right.
in his case, what's my dude? In his case, um, Edward Bryce, he got drafted, so you
Mhm.
know he really kind of didn't really have a choice, and he was never fit for what he was doing. Like he was he was a very sympathetic, you know what I'm saying, character in this movie.
Yeah,
You know, he really wanted to save everybody. Like he didn't
right.
really want to do any of this shit. He didn't want to kill anybody. He just really kind of just wanted to skate through this shit. But like to really think about like the realness, because like for me, like watching like that first like 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying? And shout out to Bo King Woodbine, you know what I'm saying? He had a little, you know what I'm saying?
Mm,
It
cameo.
basically was a cameo, you know what I'm saying? He was only in two scenes. But but yeah, man, just to really think about that, man, like that shit. Like I know, like this movie it turns into a horror movie, but like that might have been the scariest shit. Was the first like 10 minutes when the motherfucker
Yeah.
was really in battle because you know how I am. I'm big into war movies.
Mhm.
So to combine a war movie and make that shit a horror movie at the same time, oh man,
Mhm.
that shit is right up my motherfucking alley, man. Like this shit
Yeah.
was this movie is so slept on, dude,
Yeah.
because it was to add those two things in the way. I mean, I'm pretty sure they've done it with some other stuff before, but like the way that this was done to add fictional people to it, because at the beginning, like you can hear Hitler's voice, you
Mhm.
know what I'm saying, talking his shit, and like to add that shit, because I mean, look, we did Hunters on here. You know what I'm saying? The first two seasons of Hunters.
Right.
And you know, they got their theory on Hitler or whatever the case may be. Then we did that one joint you came up with. Was it How to Become a Tyrant?
Yeah.
Is that what that shit was called? Yeah. So we had did that shit. So we've covered, you know what I'm saying, Hitler on here, you know, a multitude of times. But like, yo, like this is like one of the most mythical dudes ever, man. It's like
Not
now we saying,
not necessarily.
I mean, not in that sense. I'm just meaning just more of like, okay, so in Hunters, they said that motherfucker's still alive,
Yeah,
right? Oh,
that's an actual ongoing conspiracy theory.
and then you got this movie, which we all know it's a fictional movie,
Right.
but it's just like, well, what if this motherfucker was cooking up some shit?
He was just cooking up meth. Shit, he was cooking some shit, all right, for sure.
Hey, man, I'm talking.
Nah,
Hey, man.
the the reason that I like this movie, and this is why I say this is somewhat historically accurate, even with all the shit that was going on. Um, like you said, they pull you in by you watching it, and it's just an ordinary war movie. You know what I'm saying? And you seeing this and you like, damn, and that's really pulling you in because you like, how the fuck are they, you know what I'm saying? Now what's the mission? How are they gonna survive this shit? Like you really get pulled in to what's going on. And they do a great job of switching everything out in the middle by showing you, you know what I'm saying, the I forgot what Lu- was it Jace? Um what is his name? Was it Jace or Jacob or something like that?
Uh, Jacob.
It was Jacob.
When Jacob was in the place with that thing in the side, when Bryce saved him.
No, when it yeah,
Or when
that's
they
when they
are you
had the
talking
light.
about? Are you talking about when they saw the dog?
No, I'm talking about when they had when they caught the guy and they was beating him down, and then he shot the one dude, and then dude came back to life. I'm talking about the dude that came back to life.
Oh no, that was hold on, that was the photographer dude.
Okay.
Was it Morton? Oh man, what was the photographer name? I know
And
who
he
you're
said
talking
it at the
about though.
beginning of the movie too. I never paid attention to that part. No, Morton Chase. It was Chase. You're right, Morton Chase. He was a private first class. So basically when Chase was coming back to life, that's when you knew some other shit was going down. And that's how they kind of introduced everything in. They kind of gave you a hint early in too, when they were all in the house and you just kept hearing like this big wheezing sound, and you like, what the fuck is that? And she like, oh, he's just sick. You don't realize that this motherfucker is turning into a whole fucking zombie monster. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah, Chloe's aunt.
yeah. So um I thought that was dope, the way that they kind of put that spin on it and brought you into a whole, like, they this is really two movies. The first movie is a war movie. The second movie, like you said, is a horror movie. And they bring you into it flawlessly. Like there's nothing wrong with the way that they bring this in. And it's like it's a nice ease into it too. But the reason I'm saying that this is so accurate is because also, if you know anything about World War II history and theories and stuff like that, you know that the Nazis have um historically had great scientists. Um they're responsible for, you know what I'm saying, Hugo Boss, Volkswagen, um, and a whole bunch of other different things that we use all today. So even the Jeep, the reason that the Jeep was created was because Volkswagen had created a similar type vehicle for not when the Nazis were there. They had created a similar type vehicle. And so Jeep, because of, you know, Build American and all this other stuff and Patriot Pride and all that, we decided to make our own version of it. And that's how we ended up coming up with that, because we actually took their engineering and modified it ourselves and used it into Jeeps. Um, NASA started because of Warner Von Braun. You know what I'm saying? And
Operation Paperclip.
yeah, a whole bunch of other shit. Also, you know, America is quote unquote, this is a conspiracy theory, of course, but they're quote unquote responsible for having hidden Nazis in places like Argentina, Brazil, and a bunch of different places in South America, mainly Argentina, which was kind of a thing in hunters, but they basically helped them move there and hid them there and had them working for us and while they were there. And that was a part of their thing of saving them and not having them go to, you know what I'm saying, the trials and all that different stuff. Um, so it's a whole bunch of different things that you can kind of add into this that kind of makes this movie perfect. right? Because you got these, you don't necessarily see the scientists and all that shit, but you got this experimental thing going on where they're trying to create these super soldiers that are zombie like or monster like. And then you also got it to where they like it's hard for them to like die. So, you know what I'm saying? Like you creating this basically this super soldier.
Mhm.
And they basically trying to keep the Third Reich going for thousands and thousands of years, or whatever dude was saying. So you talked about the beginning of it. Let's talk about when they captured the Nazi guy, and they basically trying to get answers out of him, figure out what's going figure, they trying to figure out what's going on. And Chase ends up getting infected.
So I mean, to speak on that, like you kind of gotta give like. So let me give a little bit of backstory. So only a few other people survived when they jumped off the plane and all that type
Mhm.
shit. Boys ended up seeing, you know what I'm saying, Bo King Woodbine, I forget what his character's name is. And he, like I say, Boys was he had a huge heart, man. He was really about to get himself killed to save this dude when there was no way to save him. So he gets killed. Ford comes up like, man, be quiet. He was gonna die regardless. And then, they run into three other soldiers. So they're
Mhm.
walking through. One dude step on a fucking mine, blow him the fuck up. He's
Mhm.
out of here. And so then they just all of a sudden see this girl. And so then they chase the girl down. Come to find out, boy speaks fluent French
Right.
because his people are from Haiti
Mhm.
and they had moved to Louisiana. So he's talking to her and she ended up taking them back to her house. But come to find out, the Germans, which isn't anything new that you would hear about some old war stories and shit like that. Like they just basically, knocking girl up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so when they was hiding in the attic, my man trying to get some, and she's like, "Yo, like not tonight." And so he threatened to send her fucking brother to the same doctor that her aunt saw, which turned her into a fucking zombie.
Mhm.
And boys up there, it's like, yo, boy, boy's heart was too big, man, because he was really about to get his like. It's really his fault. Well, I don't want to say fault because he really ended up. If he didn't do what he did there, they wouldn't have been able to destroy the whole facility or whatnot.
They wouldn't even have known about the facility.
Yeah, they wouldn't even know if Boyce didn't do that. But like it was just the fact that he was willing to risk everything because dude is about to rape our girl again.
Mhm.
And so basically what the Nazis was doing was they were just keeping like a few people like around or whatever so they could just basically do what they want. Get them to cook for them, fuck them when they want to, all
Mhm.
types of little shit like that. So so then they tie dude up and they trying to get some answers out of him. And then for some odd reason, boys don't want Ford to fucking torture him to get the answers.
Yeah,
It's like, dude,
or whatever, which I thought was weird because I'm like, fam, this motherfucker will kill you in the blink of an eye, bro. What are you doing?
yeah, like why you care so much about this man well being? Like he literally been raping this girl,
Yeah,
and you know it.
and
And
you was
but
just about to save her from being raped, but you cool
yeah,
now with saving his life. This is okay, real quick, bro. This is the one only thing that bothers me is that it seemed like every time we get like a main black hero character, bro, this dude is like super fucking soft and sensitive, bro. When Finn was in Star Wars, he was the same fucking way, bro. This nigga was screaming Ray's name every goddamn 5 seconds in that movie, and this bitch was a Jedi. I'm like, fam, we gotta do better, writers. You know what I'm saying? When y'all get off strike, start writing these black main characters, superhero types better, man. Or hero types, not superhero types, but hero types. Start writing these dudes better, man. And they gotta have some type of, you know what I'm saying, some type of like badass in them or something, bro. Cause that's crazy. This motherfucker in real life, he'd have died at least 7 times in this movie.
Well, I mean, in real life, he would have died with Bokeem Woodbine. Like,
Yeah, and he couldn't fight for shit.
well, he got better throughout the movie. Like when
He was getting his ass whooped by that zombie dude.
it's a zombie, man.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I'm saying though, like he was trying to put up a fight, but it was like his efforts was just pitiful, bro.
Man, I felt like they did make him just a little bit too soft.
He was a bitch.
Like
Like even when
to
dude took his chain, he was like, "Give me my chain back, man. If you don't snatch that, you in the fucking army, bro. Take that motherfucking chain back. Fuck is wrong with
yeah, you
dude,
know
man?
what? You're right about that. You're right about that. I
Yeah,
didn't like the chain part either.
he was too much of a sucker, man. I ain't like that.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't understand why he was so uptight about this German dude getting fucking, you know, tortured or whatever. So they
Mm-hmm.
end up telling him, well, he ended up going into that facility by fucking mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes out and he run and see the very first instance where you figured out some shit was weird was when they was walking through the woods and they saw that this shit is on the ground. They was like what is this? And I was like, yo, it kind of looked like I forget exactly what they said it looked like. But you could tell that it was a dog, but I mean, but this dog was, I
It
mean,
was deformed like a motherfucker.
hell yeah, this,
Mhm.
this is a dog that you would not want to run across a lot.
At
And
all.
so
Like
that
some
was the
Resident
first,
Evil type shit.
yeah, exactly, Resident Evil, exactly. So you knew, like, okay, something. That's the first thing that you see in this movie. Like, that's not normal. And so then he ended up seeing one of those dogs alive. So he's
Mhm.
running from this motherfucker. Ended up jumping in the back of a truck. They got a whole bunch of dead soldiers in it. So then that takes him into the whole facility. Then he fucking discovers like all this shit that's going on. And that's
Right.
when he found Jacob. So he ended up saving Jacob from in there,
Mm-hmm.
taking him back to the house or whatever. But he ended up taking one syringe with him.
Yeah.
So he took that syringe with him. And so when the German, like, for some odd reason, I don't know why, Chase went up there fucking with him. And he thinking that the dude is dead, which I mean a smart
No, he
move.
thought he was
Played it.
asleep.
You sure he just thought he was asleep?
When he
Because why
when
did he
he
let him down?
no, remember when he went and start cutting him down or whatever, he said, I thought, well, when he got shot or whatever, he said, I thought he was sleeping.
Yeah, yeah. With that was stupid. That was a dumbass move.
Yeah.
And so he get his ass
So
whooped.
he was cutting him down because they was about to leave or something like that. Because he was like, we gotta move. He kept telling him we gotta move.
Well, they sent the wrong person up. First of all, he was a cameraman.
And
Why you send a camera?
he had the gun in his hand,
Man, look, my man took that gun and shot his ass.
smoked his ass.
And so he took about 3-4 to the chest, and then my
Mhm.
man just shooting a gun with a bag over his head.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And so Boyce tackles him, and then he goes up the chase. And then, like I said, man, like just it's like every person that dies, he dropped a tear for everybody.
Yeah, that's some weird shit.
And it's like, okay. So then he's so worked up, he take the syringe that he stole from that place, just stabs it in dude. Now, what he saw when he was in there, he did see that he was looking through a peephole. There was a person in there, and then they sent the zombie person in there to go eat the person up or whatever. So he
Mhm.
knew it was some weird shit going on in there. And
Right.
then plus the way he found Chase, he had this fucking large thing like into his side.
Mm-hmm.
And he also saw them stick that syringe into somebody. But they see, like the doc said, when the German dude had went there, when his face was all fucked up, like he told him, he said, yo, I've never tried this on anybody that was alive already.
Right.
He was like, we've only tried this shit on dead people.
Mm-hmm.
So Boyce watched them stick it into somebody, and then like the person got a reaction, like he started coming alive, and then they put him in the incinerator. No,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no. They didn't burn him. I don't think. No, they didn't burn that person. They just put him in one of those things that they have in mortuaries and shit.
Right.
And so he knew that whatever he had brought that person back alive. So
Mm-hmm.
he thought that he would stab dude, but he didn't know that shit was gonna turn his ass fucking superhuman and turn him into a zombie and fuck their
Yeah.
ass up. Like
I
that
mean,
shit was crazy.
when he popped back up, the look on their faces was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" This motherfucker was clearly just dead. And he got up, the way he was breathing when he got up, you could tell like he was fucked up. But then after a while, like he just started being normal. And then when you started seeing the shit go through his veins, Ford already knew this is some shit that because remember, soon as he told him to stand up and he stood up, he clutched his gun. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to light this motherfucker up because something ain't right." And then they start seeing the shit course through his veins and all that shit, and then his skin start moving and all that weird shit. If it
No,
wasn't
but
for
when he threw
Ford,
his head back
yeah, that's
and
what I'm
that
saying.
shit started coming.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Ford, everybody in there would be dead.
Ford and yeah, so now I know what you're saying now. Because Ford was probably the smartest person in this damn movie.
100%.
So now I
Without
see what you're saying.
without question. Ford was the one who saved the day.
Yes.
He was I mean, really, Ford is the hero in this whole shit. This nigga Boyce ain't shit. I'm just keeping it real, bro. That nigga is a bum throughout this whole movie. He basically Tonto in this whole film. And Ford is the
Damn.
Lone Ranger.
See, I wasn't gonna go that far. I
I
wasn't gonna
mean,
go that far.
basically that's what happened, man. And it sucks though because when you watching this, right, you got so much hope for Boyd and you really want him to be the hero. You really want him to be the guy that, you know what I'm saying, is fighting for everybody and doing, you know what I'm saying, saving the day until you realize that without Ford, that nigga would have been dog food. Because when he started fighting the zombie boss dude was beating the shit out of him.
This he was. This
Yeah.
he was. He was. And I just think like the whole like and you brought this up early, which was a smart observation. This really was two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Because like after it's like once they got to the girl's house, like okay, it still felt like one movie. But once he jumped in the back of that damn truck and went
Mm-hmm.
into that damn well, it was a church, what it was.
Yeah.
Because I remember them talking about it in the plane where they were
Right.
saying, yo, they doing some shady shit in the church because they don't believe in anything right or some shit that he was saying.
No, they was basically saying whatever they believe in over here, it ain't what the Nazis believe in.
Or the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a church. So once he went into that church, this whole fucking movie flipped.
Everything changed.
Like it was not the same thing after that. And it
Right.
was just like to think like we've seen plenty of different types of movies where they have these type of ideas of making either super soldiers or making people who are indestructible. Like we've seen movies where they take a real event and they either try to make something like supernatural or some shit to the point where the only way that we're gonna take over is to either like the way we're doing it now, we're doing it with drone strikes and shit, right?
Yeah.
Well, before that whole idea came about, it's like, okay, let's come up with indestructible bodies and put these motherfuckers in war. Because what'll happen with that is we're gonna lose lesser people and it's gonna take more to take those people out. And if you put people in that are indestructible, they're gonna think they're indestructible. So they're gonna be more, you know what I'm saying, more apt to
Hence
do
the
some.
reason they gave the Nazis meth.
Exactly. And they
Yeah.
probably thought they was indestructible. Because I know they wasn't feeling
I'm
shit.
sure. I'm sure they took a couple bullets before them motherfuckers died.
Yo, them motherfuckers was going out like Scarface. You hear me?
Yeah,
Like they
yeah,
was feeling themselves. For
for
real, for
sure,
real.
for sure.
And I'm just saying, man, I don't think that this shit is far fetched. Maybe these people were zombies, but like I said, we don't know what's going on in these labs across the world.
Nah, not at all.
We it's all hearsay for us. Like
Mhm.
the government, and this is the United States government. We ain't even talking about they shit.
Yeah,
The amount of shit they hide from us.
right.
Like they want to, yeah. Now they want to tell us about UFOs and shit. But you would
Yeah.
always say this shit was a myth. Oh, but we got this place called Area 51. Is it real? Oh, we don't know. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The whole shit about did we go to the moon or not? You know what I'm saying? You
I'm
got
so happy when they tell the truth about that shit, so we can get
yo.
that shit with.
That's just like the whole JFK shit. Like I did a podcast on so Oliver Stone did the JFK movie with Kevin Costner, right?
Yeah,
So what Oliver Stone ended up doing was so some files got released, some
yeah,
files
they
that
got
were
moved.
sealed up. So he did a documentary called JFK Revisited. And I ended up
Mm-hmm.
doing a podcast on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So they released probably like 90% of the files that they was hiding from us, but it's
Yeah,
still some shit that they didn't release yet. But they're
right,
saying that they're not gonna release the shit until like 2040 or some shit like that. And it's
right.
supposed to really reveal like who's really responsible
Yeah, like what all
for,
like actually
yeah,
happened.
like you know what I'm saying, all that type shit. So that's just shit that I just mentioned. But like when we talked about like labs, we don't know what's going on in these labs. We don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're talking about cloning motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? We always get in these movies about animals getting cloned, saying that we're gonna be able to clone people. You getting impossible meat now. You know what I'm saying? We get fake
We have
chicken.
no meat now.
That's what I'm saying. We don't know what the fuck is going on in these labs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say that this shit is not that far fetched to where they
Well,
trying to fucking.
so supposedly the 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 conspiracy theory around the word that rhymes with Bafloma flylish.
Hmm.
Um, y'all use your imaginations. Um, was that the booster shots? Oh, I shouldn't have said that. The smacks because you gotta be coded because they flag your shit. But the smacks basically was going to turn people into zombies. You did
Well,
that was the conspiracy theory. Both of those things were supposed to turn people into zombies.
well, I still feel very much alive.
Glad
And
you
I'm.
do. I'm glad you do.
Nah, but like,
Wait. You got it?
yeah, I told you that.
Oh, that is right. Yeah, I didn't do that.
Yeah, me and my boys.
Okay.
I did my research though.
No, I mean I'm
And
not.
and 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 my thing is like, okay, right. So real quick. So my whole thing was, and I think what the misconception of it was calling it what they called it. Because that's not what it was.
Yeah, right.
All it is an immune system booster, basically. Like this
Right.
is something like everybody said that, oh well, they just cook some shit up and they stabbing it in people. This is some shit that they, like I said, lab. We talking about labs. But from what they were saying, from all the shit that I researched, they started this shit back when SARS started. And SARS
Well, yeah,
was
it's the
back in.
same. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, but they just put a name on it.
Well, let me tell you. Let me tell you what's even crazier, right?
Hmm.
So, did you know that between the years, when did SARS start?
So SARS was right before Obama. So
So around like
302 ish, because it was
yeah,
when Bush was still in.
okay. So Lysol, the spray
Yes.
on the can, it said that it eliminates that virus. And I think in 18 was I think that's the last time you seen it on the label.
Yeah, it said that it cured. All it said was the C word. It didn't have the 19 on it. It just said the C word.
Yeah, it was just saying the actual, you know what I'm saying, the
Yeah.
virus. That's really what SARS is, but they named it because of the what happened because of that. So it's
Yeah.
something respiratory syndrome or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's from the C word. So I remember when I heard them talking about the C word, I'm like, why does that sound familiar? And we had an old ass can of Lysol, and it clearly said it on the bottom of Lysol. And I was like, oh shit, we got Lysol, we good. So I'm thinking we ain't gonna catch shit. We just spray some Lysol, we all right. So yeah, we used a lot of goddamn Lysol during the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah. And but my whole thing is like why like watching this shit because like I said, we seen and a lot of movies aren't like like when you see shit in your head when
Hmm.
you can't catch the name because there's a few movies where this whole idea of super soldiers, like that wasn't that this isn't the first time that we've seen this shit. Like they didn't reinvent the
Well,
wheel with this shit.
the whole thing of the Nazis turning excuse me, the whole Nazi super soldier thing comes from that the story of them doing or them giving them
Giving
meth.
them meth.
Yeah, that all bleeds from that. So it's technically not far fetched because I mean that was basically the same thing. Like the fact that, like I said, the fact that it was a 3-day mission and it only took them a day and a half to get from one place to the other. That kind of lets you know what I'm saying, like where they what their mindset was as far as like taking the way they was taking shit over. Because if you look at like if you go back and look at the map of like Nazi Germany and the way that they was like occupying shit,
Hmm.
bro, they was getting shit done. Like they had most
Ass.
of it in Europe.
Yeah, dude. Remember I told you, dude. One of my favorite fucking war movies is Enemy at the Gate,
Yeah.
and that was one of the turning points of the war before we got in it.
Hmm.
Was that's when they rolled up on Stalingrad.
Yeah,
Stalingrad was like one of the last battles. Like they got all the way through fucking the USSR, my guy, until
yeah.
they got to Stalingrad. We're
Hmm.
talking about a small ass country of
Hmm.
Germany. These motherfuckers took over the USSR, which is one of the most big. It's like the biggest fucking like country, especially in Europe, anyway, in Asia. I mean,
Well, well, it's technically both. So that like Europe is divided. I mean, Russia is divided into two continents. So like you can be like if you Russian, you can be European or you can be Asian,
yeah. But
which
a
is
lot
cool.
of it, now don't get me wrong, a lot of it is a lot of landmass. Like it's
Yeah.
it's not a lot of shit out there in some of the parts. But but yeah, when they got to Stalingrad, you know what I'm saying, the whole little battle of fucking snipers went down, and once he killed
Hmm.
like the biggest German sniper dude, they kind of, what I'm saying, slowed some shit up. But
Hmm.
but yeah, they took over a lot of fucking shit in a short
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yeah. That's
And
what I'm
like I
saying.
say,
They basically occupied most of Eastern Europe.
yeah, and it's like, look, I'm not trying to get a dude, I ain't trying to hype him up or nothing, but I mean, this motherfucker was very convincing, and and got these motherfuckers to
You talking about Hitler?
it's yeah, like
Oh
it's
yeah, sure. That's I
what
told
he,
you that was my that's my whole fascination with him is the way that he was able to rally people behind his whole the whole Aryan nation thing. Like somebody that's like me going up there like, yeah, you gotta have like blonde hair and blue eyes. And they like, yeah, we gotta have blonde hair and blue eyes. And I'm leading the whole movement. That shit was always wild to me.
yeah, yeah, it's that's the whole Uncle Washington theory of like when he was like when you went to Africa, he was like you like he was like the black he was like the black people had the land, and he
Mhm.
said the black people had the land, white people had the had the Bible, and then it flipped to where
The black
they
people had the
gave
Bible and the
had
white
the
people.
Bible, and they took the land. And he
Yep.
was like, how can you he's like, what's the only way to say that, oh man, I forget how Uncle Wash used to put it. He used to put it so eloquently, man. I can't do it
Mhm.
like he did it. But like he was just basically saying, like, how can you get a group of people to follow a person unless you tell them that they like if they know that they look like them, why would they think you are inferior? You know what I'm saying?
Whoa. So it was way bigger than that. It was way bigger than that. Like this shit stemmed from World War One, right? So basically in World War One, um Russia was pretty much like on the back burner and shit. And this is where like all of this shit stems from for real. And that's why eventually the US had to get into it because we was like technically the only, you know what I'm saying, like the only ones that's able to like go toe to toe with these motherfuckers around this time, right?
Hold on, are you talking about
And
one or two?
and two.
Well, two, the well, okay, from my understanding, I know you more of
Mm.
a two than I am, but from my understanding, that Japan knew that they was coming up, and so they was like, all right, so the only way that we can stop these motherfuckers if we got America, so they bombed Pearl Harbor to basically get them involved. Because
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
that we knew what was going on, but we was like, well, that shit don't affect us, so we don't give a shit.
yeah,
And
that's
then
what
we
I'm saying.
got bombed by Japan.
Yeah and no, right? So Japan got in it because technically they were supposedly like the way that they seen shit happening with the power that he was gaining was like, hey, let's get in good with this motherfucker since he on our side of the fucking world. You know what I'm saying? We don't want this shit over here in our territory. And so with Japan being in it, um that's of course Pearl Harbor and all that shit. Really, it's even beyond Pearl Harbor at this point. Because truthfully, the fact of the matter is like our shit was really a beef with Japan. It wasn't a beef with it. We really wasn't even in World War II like that. But it's like I said, it stemmed from World War One. So in World War One, we was on the side with Russia. And after World War One was over with, Russia had was on the back burner of everything. They like they shit was all tore up and fucked up and everything else. And so when Hitler was in the government at that time, he was basically, you know what I'm saying, like shitting on the chancellor of Germany. And he was like, yo, like, how can y'all be with this motherfucker? And he can't even bring us back to glory. And you know what I'm saying? Like the motherland is supposed to be so on and so forth and all this other shit. And or the you know what I'm saying? Like he was basically just saying, like, how do y'all stand behind this man? And we was once a great country, and look at us now. Like our shit is war torn. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers is starving. Basically, they was in like a Great Depression.
Hmm.
And so once he ended up taking over, he basically staged like this big ass coup. So once he ended up taking over, it started off as like a small thing. So the Nazi, that's why they call it the Nazi party, because it was actually like a government thing at first. And they ended up, once he ended up becoming the chancellor of Germany, he ended up implementing everything in there. And so as he was doing it and going through everything, he was pretty much like, yo, if we want to become a world power again, like we really have to put our foot down and really put our foot on these fuckers' necks. Like we got to let these people know we, you know what I'm saying, we'll never take that shit again. We basically got shitted on. Like the shit is so crazy because it's like basically Russia did all the work and America was like, yeah, we handled that shit. You know what I'm saying? And they ended up getting the short end of the stick. So in World War II, they was like, all right, well, we just gonna start taking shit over. They was talking about how they had the best scientists and all this other shit. So once they ended up taking over the USSR and occupying that shit, that's where all the scientists and all that shit come in. And they start getting busy and shit. So Russia, Germany, those two got the, you know what I'm saying, the shit end of the deal. And that's why at first Stalin was like, you know, we'll rock with y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he was hesitant to do it, he was like, yo, we'll rock with y'all. Then once he started seeing the shit that Hitler was doing, he was like, hey, this some bullshit. Like, this ain't what you know, this ain't what we talked about, my G. That shit flipped. They end up trying to take over, like you said, Stalingrad. They end up fighting back, but that's where the Nazi scientists and shit come in because now they basically occupying everything and taking the best of them and using them as scientists and using all the shit that they finding from them. Also, it's a movie called the something man. I forgot what that shit is called, but it got George Clooney in it. But basically, it's talking about how the Nazis was going into all of these countries and taking all of their like resources and artifacts and all this shit, and they was using that to fund everything. So like it's places all around Germany that got like artifacts from Czechoslovakia and Poland and all this shit, like all of they
Yeah.
wealth and shit. It's still bunkers and shit all around there. Like remember on Hunters when they was in Argentina
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
bunker.
Argentina. Yep.
Yeah, it's shit like that all around Germany that they still looking for to this day. So they been like they went around. I forgot what the fuck that movie is called. It's called The Something Man. I forgot what it's called. Um, but it basically talks about that and how, you know what I'm saying, like they had a task force going around trying to find all of this shit that Germany was stealing, and that was helping them to defund everything that they was doing to slow their shit down. But basically all of this shit stemmed from World War I. And in the midst of all of that, because Germany was at a weak point, Hitler was able to rise up through the ranks and find ways to manipulate the masses and tell them like, yo, if y'all want to be great, like follow me. I can show y'all to the promised land. And of course, like he was rocking shit
The
for
Monument Man. The
Monument.
Monuments Man.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what that movie is about though. So if y'all ever get a chance to watch that, definitely do. That's a great movie. But basically that's all this shit was about, was just this motherfucker just running through shit because he was like, yo, we definitely are going to be the greatest power. Like they can't stop us. And so what he ended up doing was talking about the Aryan bloodline and how the Aryans are the only race and all that shit. And he was saying that then to basically it's like a divide and conquer tactic.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we did a podcast on how to become a tyrant. Like it gives like a lot of information on like how he even became in the power, how the tactics that he used and like and all that type shit. But yeah, all of that
Oh,
shit is wild.
if you guys ever get a chance, I know that they shit on Hitler a lot, but one thing that they don't shit on is his memoir, Mein Kampf. If you ever get a chance to read that, definitely read that because it talks about a lot of shit. Like a lot of motherfuckers don't know, like what he really wanted to be in life was a painter.
Hmm.
He wasn't even in the government at first until his mom got sick. And once his mom got sick and they couldn't do nothing about it and she died, he made it his like life's work to fucking take over Germany and make it a better place for people like him who couldn't, you know what I'm saying, like get shit. Cause he was just basically like, yo, like, why the fuck can't my mom get, you know what I'm saying? Like, why can't I find a way to help my mom and so on and so forth? But basically that was like the origin story to this villain was his mother dying when he was younger.
Yeah, that's wild, man. That's
Yeah.
wild. But I mean, like, I'm trying to think of the words to use because obviously I don't want to get on this podcast and say that this dude was great or whatever, and all that type
That
stuff. But it's
motherfucker was
just
maniacal, bro. That's the word you
it was just wild
maniac.
to convince these people to do the shit that they did. You know what I mean?
Not really. Not really. Not really. If you need a perfect example of what he did, go look at Donald Trump.
Yeah, because he a lot of the tactics that he used, he a lot of the same shit that Trump did when he ran for president. I was
Mhm.
just meaning like to take over the Europe, to take over Europe and half of Asia the way that he did, and as fast as he did with the people, like, ah, man, it's wild. It's wild. That's all
No,
I'm
I
gonna say.
mean,
This is what.
in a weird way, you could say it's brilliant, but that's why I say it's maniacal because this motherfucker had kids signed up in the military, bro. He had the Hitler Youth Program where these motherfuckers literally was teaching them from knee high to a butterfly how to be the perfect Nazi. Then you get the SS guards. Then you get the Gestapo. Then you got the actual Nazi army. Then you get like secret groups that he got. You know what I'm saying, to go do shit outside of the Gestapo. Like this motherfucker was crazy. Not only that, when you have somebody like Joseph Goebbels on your side who can manipulate the masses through media, and then it's like anything a motherfucker say, you instantly eliminating them. You not holding for like this motherfucker was a true dictator. Like anything you say about him, you out of here. We ain't no questions asked. You gone. You can't question shit about Nazi Germany. You can't question shit about Chancellor. You can't do none of that shit, or you out of here. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, that motherfucker was different.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? But to close the movie out though, like for them to and the crazy part was like they went in off of a rumor to go in and shut this place down. They didn't know what was going on
Right.
inside of that damn church.
Right.
And for them to find out the way that they found out, you know, and really a lot of this shit is because of Chloe. Like if they never would have ran into Chloe in the woods, we don't
They-
know. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the mission would have been donezo. They
Mhm.
wouldn't have got any of this shit done
Yeah.
if it wouldn't have been for Chloe.
It'd have been another plane coming.
Exactly. And then like I said, we don't even know if they would have been like the first group of planes that went in, like a lot of those shits got gunned down. Like
Yeah.
a lot of those people didn't make it.
And
So
the dope thing about this movie too, though, is that this is all supposed to happen right before, like I think like the next day or whatever when the sun come up. That's supposed to be like D-Day.
yeah, because remember when he told the story to the general and he said, so that's how everything went down. He's like, yep. Then he came back and said, yo, look, we was hearing that there was some kind of experiments in there. Did you see anything like that going on? He was like, nah, sir. He said, everything I know is what I told you already.
Mhm.
And so like he just went along with this secret and was like, yo, now we gotta go stop Hitler. It's like
Yeah.
y'all just went through the shit y'all just went through, and it's like now y'all finna go fight a regular war. Like I was like, man, send me the fuck home. You hear me? Like y'all
Yeah.
don't know what type of night I've been through.
I mean, I
Like,
ain't gonna lie. After dealing with that shit, regular war don't seem so bad. I just got done fighting a fucking zombie. A human I can handle at this point. If that didn't toughen him up, I don't know what would.
oh, he was different. He was
For,
different at that point.
for sure.
Yeah, he like boys. He definitely made a turn. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this: if boys made it back home, yeah, he has some issues.
Oh, what?
He has some issues for. But I'm gonna tell
PTSD
you what though.
foolish.
I'm gonna tell you what. I don't think boys came home.
I wouldn't come home.
I'm telling you.
And you know what's
A
even
lot.
crazier? I'm glad he didn't tell them motherfuckers that about that shit. You know how
Hell
fast
no.
they would have had their ass in there grabbing that shit up, trying to use that.
Yeah, because he said, well, he said, what will we find in the rubble if we dig it up? And he was like, you know what I'm saying, nothing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for a lot of people that may not know, and this shit goes back to World War One, World War Two, and fucking Vietnam War.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these motherfuckers, especially like black people, well, when it came to Vietnam War, you know, that's when white people started doing this shit too. But like a lot of these motherfuckers, like especially when it came to black people, they're like, yo, we being treated better over here.
Oh yeah,
And so a
France,
lot of them motherfuckers didn't leave. They stayed.
France, big time.
I'm telling you, Boyce didn't come back. He stayed with Chloe, man.
Absolutely.
He
Why wouldn't
digging that out.
come on, man. Y'all done
You know what
survived this traumatic experience and y'all done trauma bonded and shit. Yeah. Destined to be. It's meant to be, man.
I
All
ain't what
right,
you
man.
stupid.
You ready to get into the fire flames?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Yoga fire. Yoga flame.
All right, man. So what do you have um for this movie?
All right. So when it comes to the cast, I only recognize two people.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. Well, three count Bokeem Woodbine. Like I said, it was basically a cameo for him. But like, so the actors, they might not be the most well-known people, but I will say I think they did a phenomenal job at what they did and the people that they chose.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a really, really good job with this. I think that everybody that was in this movie, they did what they were supposed to do. I think the writing of this movie was good. I think the blood in this movie was good. Honestly, I'm gonna stick to my guns to what I said at the beginning of this podcast. I think that this could be. Now, I'm not saying the best movie. I'm saying the most slept on movie that we've done. I'm, you know what? Fuck it, man. I'm gonna give this bitch 5, man. I fucks with this movie.
Okay.
I really do. I'm big into war movies and to throw the horror type shit that they threw in there. I know Boyce might not be the best character,
Right.
but even with his flaws, I think that if he didn't have those flaws, I don't think that we would have got to where we got to.
True.
I think we kind of needed him to be sensitive because every put it this way, everything that he done when he was being sensitive, it ended up taking us somewhere.
Right.
Like, you know, when he was too sensitive about the girl about to get raped, he never would have got into the one place. If he wasn't so sensitive about Jacob dying, you know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have known what the serum would have really did.
Right.
So you see what I'm saying? Like it was a trend to his sensitivity. So I'm gonna give it to 5, man. I'm sorry. I think this movie dope.
Okay. So I'm going to give it a 4. I also think that this movie is dope, and I do enjoy this movie a lot. This is one of those movies that if you see it on, you can definitely sit back and watch it and not have an issue. My only thing is I would have liked to seen more of the zombie part.
I can
I
see that.
would have liked for them to get a little bit further with the zombie part. I think that would have caused for a better ending. For them to stop it so fast, I didn't like that. I thought it was like kind of, you know what I'm saying, like kind of lackluster with that. But I really would have enjoyed if like they would have had to like take a stand against a whole bunch of, you know what I'm saying, Nazi zombies. And that's why I brought up the whole Call of Duty thing because basically this is some shit that happened in Call of Duty. Like when you play Call of Duty Zombies, um, this is kind of like the same thing. So I thought it would have been dope to kind of have that in the, you know what I'm saying, like to kind of have that in there where like they running through shooting the shit out these motherfuckers, and you know what I'm saying, and then they finally stop them by They finally stop him by just basically, blowing everything up the same way that they did. But I would have loved to see a little bit more of the, what I'm saying, the zombie aspect of it. Um, but outside of that, this movie is great. The storyline is good. The way that they bring everything in is great. The transition from the war movie to the horror movie was great. I have no other complaints besides that, so I'm sticking with a 4.
I'm with it.
Cool, man. Let's get into coming soon.
Let's do it.
Coming soon to own on video and DVD.
All right, man. So our next movie in the Fright Fest, right?
Yes, sir.
Fright Fest. Not the Horror Fest, the Fright Fest. 2023 too. Is The Ring. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Make sure you know what I'm saying, you got something with you just in case something crawl out your TV when you watch this. And don't stare at the ring, man. Don't do it. But this is gonna be a good one, I feel like, only because I haven't seen this movie in a long time. And I remember my first time seeing this was in theaters. And I was like, this is the shit. I fucked with this movie when it first came out. So I'm excited to rewatch this.
Yes, sir. Make sure y'all dub the tape and show it to somebody
Absolutely.
else. Show it to
Yeah.
somebody you don't fuck with.
Hurry up and pass that motherfucker on. So y'all get ready for that one, man. That's gonna be the next episode. But listen, if you enjoyed Overlord, if you don't know what Overlord is, or if you too like to see zombie Nazis get shot in the face, hit us up on socials and tell us all about it on Instagram and X at ViewAnon Pod. You can find us on Facebook, VA Pod Watch Group. Also, we have a community on X where you can talk about movies and television all day long, Viewers Anonymous. And if you haven't already, sign up for our subscription package. We have episodes waiting for you. We got more episodes coming. It's only $2.99 a month. You will not be disappointed. Help us out by signing up, subscribing, and you know what I'm saying, helping us bring more to this platform as we already have. And if you like to follow me personally, you can follow me on X at Scoots Bronson. I have a link tree in my bio. You can find me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and X at 28 minutes or less pod. That is just on IG. Follow the podcast 28 minutes or less. Drop the new episode, which is, hold on, wait a minute. Is it 138? I think it's 138. And it's entitled History of Horror Part 2. I dive into a multitude of things, man. I talked about the new Exorcist Believer movie. I spoke about my opinion on I know we did it on this platform, but you know what I'm saying, all of y'all know I'm a huge Halloween fan, so I never spoke about it on 28 minutes or less. I gave my, you know what I'm saying, few cents on Halloween ends. Um what else I talked about? Oh, there's a there's a top 10 list of the highest rated horror Blumhouse production movies.
I seen that. I seen that.
Yeah, yeah. I gave my thoughts on that list. I
That
gave
was a
my
good
thoughts on
list
that
too.
top 10 list.
That
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
good
yeah,
list.
yeah. So yeah, man. So yeah, go check out 28 minutes or less, man. That's the last episode that I put out, and let me know what you think. That's all I got.
For sure, man. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's always greatly appreciated. And thank you for continuing to listen to Fright Fest 2023. Yeah, man. But thank you for watching as well. Remember, you can only watch us on Spotify. Please, if you are listening on any platform, if you can switch over to Spotify, that would really help us out as well. But until the next episode, man, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.